Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
The first rays of dawn slipped through the curtains, casting a gentle glow over the nursery. I rocked Holly gently in my arms, her tiny fingers wrapped around one of mine. Her soft breaths, even and rhythmic, provided a serene soundtrack to the otherwise silent house. After a night of intermittent cries and diaper changes, she had finally fallen asleep. My muscles ached with fatigue, but I cherished these quiet moments. The tranquility was shattered by the abrupt ring of the phone, a jarring intrusion into our cocoon of peace. I glanced at the clock, 9:03 a.m. Who could be calling so early? Careful not to wake Holly, I eased her into the bassinet and tiptoed out of the room. "Hello," I answered, barely above a whisper. "Isabella." Jasper's voice erupted from the receiver, sharper than I'd ever heard it. "Why is Holly with Nancy?" His words were a punch to the gut. "What are you talking about?" I stammered, bewildered. "Holly is here, sleeping." A heavy silence fell. Jasper's breath was uneven, his confusion palpable. "Are you sure?" he pressed, his tone a mix of relief and disbelief. "Of course I'm sure," I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. "She's in her crib right now. Mom called me," he explained, frustration edging back into his voice. "She said Nancy has been taking care of Holly every day. What's going on, Isabella?" "I have no idea," I said, my mind racing. "I haven't left Holly with anyone. There must be some mistake." Jasper sighed, the anger ebbing into weariness. "I'm sorry. I panicked. I'll call Nancy. We'll figure this out." After hanging up, I leaned against the wall, my thoughts a whirlpool of confusion. What could possibly have led to such a misunderstanding? Determined to get to the bottom of it, I dialed Nancy's number. "Hey, Isabella." Nancy greeted me cheerfully, the sound of pots and pans clinking in the background. "What's up?" "Nancy, we need to talk," I began, trying to steady my voice. "Jasper called. He thinks you've been taking care of Holly." Her laughter was light, but it quickly faded as she sensed my seriousness. "Isabella, I am taking care of a baby. Richard brought her to me last week. He said you needed a break and asked me to help out." My heart pounded in my chest. "Nancy, Holly is here with me. Who is this baby you've been looking after?" There was a long pause. "I thought it was Holly," she said finally, her voice tinged with confusion and concern. "Richard told me it was Holly." A cold dread settled over me. "I'm coming over. We need to sort this out." I arrived at Nancy's house with Holly in tow, the crisp autumn air doing little to calm my nerves. Nancy met me at the door, a baby cradled in her arms. The sight of the child, a sweet, cherubic girl, sent a jolt of recognition through me. She looked eerily like Holly, yet subtly different. "This is the baby Richard brought," Nancy said, her voice wavering. "He said it was Holly." I stepped closer, peering at the baby. "Nancy, this isn't Holly. Something's very wrong here." Nancy's eyes filled with tears. "I don't understand. Why would Richard lie about something like this?" We sat down in her living room, the baby cooing softly in Nancy's lap. I glanced around the familiar space, feeling a surreal dissonance. This was a place of warmth and family, yet now it was shrouded in mystery. "Tell me everything," I said, my voice steady but firm. "From the beginning." Nancy nodded, wiping her eyes. "Last week, Richard showed up with the baby. He said you were overwhelmed and needed help. I didn't question it. I mean, why would I? He's our father." My mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of this bizarre puzzle. "And you've been taking care of her ever since?" "Yes," she replied, her voice breaking. "I thought I was helping you." A sudden, horrifying thought struck me. "Nancy, we need to talk to Richard. Now." Later that day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I sat in the kitchen waiting for Jasper to return from work. My thoughts were consumed by the morning's revelations. How could Richard deceive us like this? What was he hiding? The front door creaked open, and Jasper walked in, his expression weary but determined. He set his briefcase down and pulled me into a tight embrace. "Did you find out anything?" he asked, his voice a low rumble against my ear. "Yes," I replied, pulling back to look at him. "Nancy really thought she was helping us. Richard brought her the baby, claiming it was Holly." Jasper's eyes darkened. "What the hell is he playing at?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but we need to confront him. This can't go on." Jasper nodded, his jaw set. "We'll go over tonight. He has a lot of explaining to do." As we prepared for the confrontation, a sense of unity strengthened between us. Whatever lay ahead, we would face it together. And as I glanced at Holly, peacefully asleep in her crib, I vowed to protect her from whatever secrets were about to be unearthed. The drive to Richard's house felt interminable, each mile laden with questions and a simmering sense of betrayal. Jasper's grip on the steering wheel was tight, his knuckles white with tension. I sat beside him, trying to calm my racing heart. Holly slept peacefully in her car seat, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around her. As we pulled into Richard's driveway, the house loomed ominously against the evening sky. The once familiar and welcoming home now seemed cloaked in shadows of deceit. We exchanged a determined glance before stepping out of the car. Nancy met us at the door, her face etched with worry. "He's in the living room," she whispered, as if afraid of the words themselves. We walked into the house, the soft hum of the television barely breaking the tense silence. Richard looked up from his seat, surprise flickering across his features before settling into a guarded expression. "Richard," Jasper began, his voice edged with controlled anger. "We need to talk." Richard stood, smoothing his shirt nervously. "What's this about? Why are you all here?" I stepped forward, my voice steady but firm. "We know about the baby, Richard. The one you told Nancy was Holly." His face paled, but he quickly composed himself. "I don't know what you're talking about." Jasper's patience snapped. "Cut the crap, Dad. We know you've been bringing another baby to Nancy, claiming it's ours. What's going on?" Richard's eyes darted between us, searching for an escape. Realizing he was cornered, he sighed deeply and sank back into his chair. "It's complicated," he muttered. "Then start explaining," I demanded, crossing my arms over my chest. Richard took a deep breath, as if gathering the strength to reveal a painful truth. "A little over 3 years ago, I had an affair," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Jasper's fists clenched at his sides, his jaw tightening with rage. "An affair," he echoed, his voice dangerously low. "And this baby is from that affair." Richard nodded, unable to meet our eyes. "Her name is Grace. She's the result of a mistake I made, a mistake I've been trying to keep from tearing this family apart." Nancy, who had been standing silently, let out a small gasp. "So you lied to me. You used me to cover up your affair." Richard looked at her, anguish in his eyes. "I thought it was the best way to handle it. I didn't want to burden Isabella and Jasper with more stress. I thought I could manage it." "Manage it?" Jasper spat, his anger boiling over. "By deceiving your own family? By dragging Nancy into this mess?" Richard slumped, defeated. "I didn't know what else to do. Grace's mother didn't want her, and I couldn't abandon her." My mind reeled, struggling to process the magnitude of Richard's betrayal. "So you thought the best solution was to lie to all of us?" I asked, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. "I didn't want to hurt you," he replied weakly. "I thought if Nancy took care of Grace, I could keep everything under control." Jasper's voice shook with suppressed fury. "And what about Mom? Does she know about this?" Richard hesitated before nodding. "She found out a while ago. We've been trying to work through it, but it hasn't been easy. The revelation was a knife to the heart. So Mom has been dealing with this alone?" I asked, tears welling up in my eyes. Richard's face crumpled. "I never wanted any of this. I've made so many mistakes, and now I'm paying for them." Jasper turned away, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "You didn't just make a mistake, Dad. You shattered our trust. How do you expect us to move past this?" Nancy stepped forward, her eyes blazing with anger. "You put me in an impossible position. I've been caring for Grace, believing I was helping Isabella. Do you have any idea how betrayed I feel?" Richard's shoulders sagged. "I'm sorry, Nancy. I'm sorry to all of you. I never meant for things to get this far out of hand." The room fell into a heavy silence, the weight of Richard's confession pressing down on all of us. I looked at Holly, still sleeping peacefully, and felt a fierce protectiveness surge within me. Jasper turned back to face his father, his expression hard. "This is what you're going to do. We're going to figure this out together. No more lies, no more secrets." Richard nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Thank you. I know I don't deserve it, but thank you." As we left Richard's house, a heavy silence settled over us. The revelations of the night had shattered the illusion of normalcy, leaving a fractured reality in its wake. The night after our confrontation with Richard, sleep eluded me. My mind churned with the shocking revelations and the repercussions they would have on our family. I lay in bed, watching the moonlight cast shifting patterns on the ceiling. Beside me, Jasper was equally restless, his breathing uneven and troubled. The next morning, we gathered at Nancy's house to decide our next steps. The atmosphere was tense, the air thick with unspoken fears and uncertainties. Jasper, Nancy, and I sat around the dining table, our faces reflecting the weight of the previous night's discoveries. Holly and Grace played on a blanket nearby, blissfully unaware of the turmoil swirling around them. "We need to talk to Mom," Jasper said, breaking the silence. "She deserves to know everything." Nancy nodded, her eyes still red from crying. "I agree, but how do we even begin to explain this to her?" I sighed, rubbing my temples. "We need to be honest. She's been dealing with Richard's betrayal on her own for too long. We can't keep her in the dark." As we debated the best approach, the doorbell rang. Nancy went to answer it, and moments later, she returned with our mother-in-law, Mary. She looked frail, her usual vibrant demeanor dulled by the weight of Richard's infidelity. "Mary, we need to talk," I began gently, motioning for her to sit. "There's more to this situation than you know." She looked at us, her eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and curiosity. "What is it, Isabella?" Jasper took her hand, his voice tender but firm. "Mom, we've discovered that Dad has been deceiving all of us. The baby he's been bringing to Nancy isn't Holly. Her name is Grace, and she's Dad's child from his affair." Mary gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Another child? How could he do this to us?" Nancy reached out, her voice shaking. "He told me it was Holly, that Isabella needed help. I've been caring for Grace, thinking I was helping my sister-in-law." Tears welled up in Mary's eyes. "I can't believe this. How long has this been going on?" Jasper squeezed her hand. "For the past 3 years. We confronted him last night. He admitted everything." Mary's shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of her. "I knew about the affair, but I didn't know about the child. He promised me it was over." "We're so sorry, Mary," I said softly. "We should have realized something was wrong sooner." Mary shook her head, her expression a mix of heartbreak and resolve. "It's not your fault. Richard has been lying to all of us, but we need to decide what to do now." As we prepared to face Richard once more, a sense of unity strengthened our resolve. We were determined to uncover the full truth, no matter how painful. That evening, we gathered at our house. Richard arrived, his demeanor subdued and contrite. He glanced around at the assembled family, clearly sensing the gravity of the situation. "Richard," Mary began, her voice trembling but resolute, "we need answers. How could you deceive us like this?" Richard took a deep breath, his eyes briefly meeting each of ours. I know I've caused a lot of pain. I can't change the past, but I'm here to face the consequences and do whatever it takes to make amends. Jasper leaned forward, his gaze piercing. We appreciate that, Dad, but we need more than words. We need the whole truth. No more half-truths, no more hiding. Richard nodded, his face etched with regret. You're right. It all started 3 years ago, just before Jasper and Isabella's wedding. I met a woman named Laura through work. What began as a friendship quickly turned into something more. I was weak, and I made a terrible mistake. Nancy's voice was tight with emotion. And Grace, what happened when she was born? Richard's expression softened. Laura didn't want to keep the baby. She was scared and didn't know what to do. I couldn't bring myself to abandon Grace. I felt responsible for her. So, when Laura disappeared, I stepped in to take care of her. Mary's eyes flashed with anger and pain. And you thought the best way to handle it was to lie to your own family, to deceive Nancy into thinking she was helping Isabella. Richard's shoulders slumped. I thought I could handle it on my own. I didn't want to burden you, Mary. I didn't want to disrupt Isabella and Jasper's lives. And Nancy, I thought you would help if you believed it was for family. Nancy's eyes filled with tears. You manipulated me, Dad. You used my love for Isabella and Holly to cover up your mistakes. Richard looked at her, his own eyes glistening. I'm so sorry, Nancy. I never meant to hurt you. I squeezed Jasper's hand, feeling his anger simmer beneath the surface. Richard, we need to know if there's anything else. Any other secrets we should be aware of. Richard shook his head. No more secrets. Everything is out in the open now. Mary took a deep breath, her voice trembling slightly. We need to decide how to move forward. Grace is innocent in all of this, and she deserves a stable, loving home. But trust needs to be rebuilt, and that will take time. Jasper nodded, his expression softening. We're willing to support Grace, but things have to change. We need transparency and honesty from now on. Nancy wiped her tears, her voice resolute. I'll continue to help with Grace, but we need to do this together, as a family. No more lies. Richard looked at each of us, gratitude and sorrow mingling in his eyes. Thank you. I promise to do everything in my power to earn back your trust and support Grace the way she deserves. Richard looked down, his shoulders slumping. I never meant to hurt any of you. I made a mistake, and I've been trying to fix it ever since. Jasper's eyes flashed with anger. Fix it? By lying to us? By using Nancy and making her believe she was caring for Holly? Richard winced at the harsh truth in Jasper's words. In the days that followed, we began to establish a new routine. Richard moved into a small apartment nearby, giving us space while he worked on repairing his relationship with each of us. He attended counseling sessions, both individually and with the family, to address the underlying issues and rebuild trust. Grace continued to stay with Nancy, who had grown deeply attached to her. The sight of Nancy cradling Grace, her face soft with maternal affection, was a reminder of the unexpected bonds that had formed amidst the chaos. The days following Richard's unexpected visit were a whirlwind of emotion. We had opened the door to potential reconciliation, but the wounds were still fresh, and trust was a fragile, tentative thing. We each had our ways of coping, but the underlying goal was clear. We needed to rebuild, not just as individuals, but as a family. I woke up early one morning to the sound of Holly's soft cooing. The sun had just begun to rise, casting a warm golden hue through the curtains. I scooped her up from her crib and carried her downstairs, savoring the quiet moment. The house was still, a peaceful contrast to the chaos of recent events. As I fed Holly her morning bottle, I heard footsteps on the stairs. Jasper appeared, his hair tousled from sleep. He gave me a tired smile and kissed Holly's forehead. Morning, he said, pouring himself a cup of coffee. How did you sleep? I shrugged. Better than I expected, considering everything. How about you? Restless, he admitted, taking a sip of his coffee. I keep thinking about Dad. I want to believe he can change, but it's hard to let go of the anger. I nodded, understanding his conflict. We don't have to decide everything right now. One step at a time. He looked at me, his eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you for being my rock, Isabella. I don't know what I'd do without you. Later that day, we decided to visit Nancy and Grace. Nancy had been struggling, and we wanted to offer our support. As we walked up the path to her house, Jasper squeezed my hand. Let's just be there for her, he said. She needs us now more than ever. Nancy greeted us at the door, looking tired but determined. Grace was in her arms, her tiny hand clutching Nancy's shirt. Hey, come in, she said, stepping aside to let us enter. We settled in the living room, the atmosphere a mix of comfort and tension. Holly and Grace, oblivious to the adult concerns around them, played on the floor with a set of colorful blocks. How are you holding up? I asked Nancy, watching her closely. She sighed, her shoulders slumping. It's been hard. I feel like I'm living in a nightmare. But having Grace helps. She gives me a reason to keep going. Jasper leaned forward, his voice gentle. We're here for you, Nancy. Whatever you need, just ask. We'll get through this together. Nancy smiled, a hint of relief in her eyes. I appreciate that. Really, I do. It's just so much to process. One day at a time, right? Exactly, I said, reaching out to squeeze her hand. One day at a time. As the days turned into weeks, we began to find a new rhythm. Mary, ever the caretaker, organized family dinners, ensuring we stayed connected. These gatherings, while sometimes tense, provided a space for us to rebuild our bonds. One Sunday, we all gathered at Mary's house. The smell of roasted chicken and fresh bread filled the air, a comforting reminder of better times. Richard had been invited, a tentative step towards reconciliation. He arrived early, looking apprehensive but determined. Hi, everyone, he said, his voice hesitant. Thank you for letting me join you. Mary gave him a small smile. Come in, Richard. We're all here to figure this out together. Dinner was a mix of casual conversation and meaningful discussion. I know. I owe you all an explanation. I let my weaknesses and my pride get the better of me. I made choices that hurt everyone I care about. And for that, I am truly sorry, Richard said. Nancy, holding Grace close, looked at him with a mixture of pain and hope. Dad, I want to believe you, but trust has to be earned. You have to show us that you've changed. Richard's eyes were filled with regret. I understand, and I promise, I will do whatever it takes to prove that I can be better. I've started seeing a counselor, and I'm committed to making things right. After dinner, as we gathered in the living room for dessert, the conversation turned lighter. It felt like a small step forward, a glimmer of hope amidst the uncertainty. Richard's presence was still a source of tension, but there was also a sense of cautious optimism. The weeks turned into months, and slowly, we began to heal. Richard's efforts to make amends were genuine, and while it would take time, we started to see glimpses of the man he once was. Family therapy sessions helped us navigate the complex emotions and rebuild our trust. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching Holly and Grace play, Jasper turned to me, his eyes filled with gratitude. Isabella, I don't know how we would have gotten through this without you. Your strength has held us all together. I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me. We're a team, Jasper. We support each other. And together, we can face anything. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over our little family, I felt a renewed sense of hope. The road ahead would still have its challenges, but we had each other, and that was enough. The crisp autumn air carried the promise of new beginnings. The leaves, in their vibrant hues of red, orange, and gold, seemed to symbolize the transformation our family had undergone. As we navigated the last few months, the scars of our past slowly began to heal, making way for a brighter, more hopeful future. One Saturday morning, Jasper and I decided to take Holly to the park. The clear blue sky and the gentle rustling of leaves provided the perfect backdrop for a family outing. Holly, now more alert and curious, babbled happily in her stroller as we walked down the tree-lined path. "Look at her," Jasper said, his eyes softening as he watched our daughter. "She's growing so fast." I smiled, feeling a swell of love and pride. "She really is. It feels like just yesterday she was a tiny newborn." As we found a spot near the playground, Jasper spread out a blanket, and we settled down. Holly immediately began to explore the colorful toys we had brought along. Jasper lay back, resting his head on his hands, and looked up at the sky. "You know," he began, his tone reflective, "I think we're finally finding our balance again. It's been a tough journey, but we're stronger for it." I nodded, reaching out to squeeze his hand. Our peaceful moment was interrupted by the sound of footsteps. I looked up to see Nancy and Grace approaching, their faces lit with smiles. Grace ran ahead, her little legs pumping as fast as they could carry her. "Aunt Isabella, Uncle Jasper," she called out, her excitement infectious. "Hey, Grace," Jasper replied, catching her in a big hug. "You're getting so big." Nancy joined us, her expression relaxed and content. "Mind if we join you?" "Of course not," I said, patting the blanket. "The more, the merrier." As the children played together, Nancy and I shared a look of mutual understanding. As the afternoon wore on, we decided to head back home. The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow over everything. The park was bathed in a serene, almost magical light, and I felt a sense of peace settle over me. That evening, we had a family dinner at Mary's house. These gatherings had become a cherished tradition, a way for us to stay connected and support one another. As we sat around the table, the aroma of roast chicken and baked potatoes filling the air, there was a palpable sense of unity. Mary raised her glass, her eyes twinkling with pride and love. "To family," she said, "to new beginnings and the strength we find in each other." "To family," we echoed, clinking our glasses together. Richard, who had been quiet throughout the meal, cleared his throat. "I just want to say how grateful I am for this second chance. I know I have a lot to prove, and I'm committed to making amends. Thank you for not giving up on me." Jasper placed a hand on his father's shoulder. "We believe in you, Dad. We're all here to support you." Nancy nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "And we're proud of the progress you've made." The rest of the evening was filled with laughter and conversation. We shared stories, reminisced about old times, and made plans for the future. It was a night of healing and hope, a testament to the resilience of our family. As we left Mary's house and headed home, I felt a sense of contentment wash over me. We had faced our challenges head-on and emerged stronger for it. Our family, though imperfect, was bound by a deep, unshakable love.